following show is a paid program.
Thanks so much, family. We have the best of the best with us on today. Miss Queen Cora, world-renowned drummer, scholar, businesswoman. If I tell you everything about this lady, 5-year tenure with Prince, 3-year tenure with Beyonce. She was valedictorian of our high school class, Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in music performance. Howard University, got to do a shout out to them. Drummer for BET's Black Girls Rock Award show. She has her own signature drumsticks. She is the only person still, as of today, to play in 2 Super Bowls with both Prince and Beyonce, and has performed in over 40 countries. Hello, lady. How you doing? Man, I got tired.
I am amazing. I'm happy to be here.
I am too. Queen Cora, I'm telling you, we have gone back a little bit. We talk on the phone all the time. And I'm telling you, I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm proud of you.
After reading this resume.
Thanks.
Coming from Houston.
Yeah.
How did all that happen? How did you get into music first? Just going back a little bit.
I just kept beating on things. I kept beating on buckets, and I'd be in class. The whole class would be jumping around. Teacher, hey. And it's like, okay, I apologize. And before I knew it, I'd be tapping again.
Right.
You know? I started playing congas at Kashmere. But I came through Will Rogers Elementary, Lanier Middle School, Kashmere High School, and I started playing the drums in 9th grade. So that was like the beginning of drums formally, but I tap dance and I did jazz dance at Will Rogers, and I was a competitive diver and swimmer and volleyball and basketball. I was competitive, so I was always into the next thing and excelling. My grandparents were leaders in real estate, G.K. Coleman and Son, and so I was used to engaging with people. I was used to connecting with community, and my grandfather's company was kind of Grand Central Station in 3rd Ward.
Right.
You know, and so we were just exposed to so much. My parents exposed us to a lot. And I just kept evolving, kept pushing, kept striving, and really aiming to be the best, highest expression of myself that I could be.
Yes.
You know, and when you're that, then you're not in competition with people as much as you are with your last best self. Does that make sense? And it just impacted all the things that I chose to do. And drumming became that. I decided to focus more on music when I got to Howard. And I don't know, there's so much to talk about.
Right,
we have
absolutely.
So much to
but
talk
to
about.
become a valedictorian, wow, academically, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And to actually coming out of that, even being a drummer, a woman drummer,
Sure.
a female drummer at that time, right?
Yeah.
You're up against men,
Yeah.
young men, and they're looking at you like, that sounds good, but we're better, but that's the competitive part, right?
Certainly. And I just felt like, let me just practice. When I started playing drums, I was playing backwards because I was looking at TV or looking at images. And so that when you're a marching band, there's this kind of like the movie Drumline. You know, play that way. So I'm looking at a reflection. Well, when I got to high school, they were like, you're playing backwards. So I said, okay, what do I need to do? Make the adjustment. And I would make the adjustment. I would practice. By my sophomore year at Kashmere, I was the section leader of the drum section because I just kept growing, good at corralling people,
right?
You know, towards a cause, and the cause at that time was music, and it was, you know, school cheer and what can we do to engage,
right?
But I've always been into academics. My grandmother was an an educator. My grandfather was an educator. Even now, my sister is an educator, my brother, you know?
Right.
So it's always there. It's been there.
Right.
And let's see, I started learning how to play chess at Montessori Day School. So I learned strategy very early. By the time I got to high school, I was under William Portis's tutelage at Kashmir. And we would read things like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
In high school?
In high school. And the principles would be on the board. And I remember begin with the end in mind. And essentially that's what I did. I said, well, let me get in the honors classes. So GPA will always be 1 point higher. And even if I get a mark down at B, then that's still an A in the standard class.
Right.
So all my classes were honors starting in 9th grade. And I just thought, okay, let me
Is
just
that
do
what
that.
you chose to get into early on? Oh, immediately.
Immediately. And they just encouraged us, very communal. And just like, see how you do.
Right.
And try. And if you don't, then
it's okay.
It's okay, you know.
I love what you said about that because parenting, right?
Absolutely.
Even talking to parents right now and letting parents know, let your child try. And if they don't make it, it's still okay. And they say it's okay.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
And you have to get to know the rest of yourself.
Right.
And the only way to get to know more of you is to explore. You know, you have to explore. You have to try. You have to push. You have to say, oh, I could have pushed harder.
Right.
Or I could have studied more. Or I could have played less. Or I could have connected with the people a little bit more. Or listened to the teacher. Whatever the case is, you get to say, if I push a little harder, then you get to meet more of that in you.
Right.
And that work ethic and what does it take to stay focused, to stay committed. Okay, I study better in the morning. Study better in the evening. Like, you got to get to know that. And it's a process. And I think just between, you know, my parents pushing, encouraging, my grandparents, and then the community. I mean, my grandparents were 1 block away from Shape Community Center.
Right.
We were my grandparents lived a block south of Texas Southern. So we were all throughout the community. And then you get guidance from this person and that person. And you know, and everybody's on the same team.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. We don't have that village anymore as much as we used to, it seems. It's just the village.
It's different.
That village.
You're right.
That village really helped.
It does.
Many times because then you get that outside encouragement too. They see your gifts too.
Sure.
And then they're able to hone in because maybe they have those gifts or maybe they're working in that capacity.
Certainly. Certainly. I think you have to pursue. We always have to pursue.
Right.
So my parents had to be intentional to say, let me pick them up, let me take them, let me drop them off. So the parents have to be engaged and they have to be committed.
Yes.
Because it's not always convenient.
Right.
And we're not always done early.
Right.
You know? But if they're committed, then you can connect with mentors. You can connect with neighbors. And you have to be the difference too.
Right.
And a lot of times people can look for something that they're actually not admitting and say, oh, the world is crazy or the world is this. And it's like, well, how about you and your microcosm?
Right.
What are you presenting as the world that can be a difference or a solution to people?
Right.
And if you are that, then the world is not that bad. But if you are that, then yeah.
Everybody
You know what I mean?
has that question now, and I've had several questions to ask you from the from everyone. The first thing they say is, how did she get from Howard to Prince? How did she get to Howard to Beyonce?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. Interestingly enough, it's all intertwined. How did I get from Howard? Let's see.
How do they see you?
Yeah.
How does Prince find you?
Yeah.
Right?
So again, just being the best expression of myself. I journal all the time. So I'm always setting intentions and in prayer and then in motion
Right.
about what it is that I see for myself. There's a book that I'm listening to, audiobook, The Science of Getting Rich. And it talks about basically you can't get or achieve something by focusing on its opposite. Right? So I spent a lot of time focusing on what I wanted, which meant being good, number one, and probably better than good because I'm a female.
Right.
Right? And while I was at Cashmere and then at Howard, I would always connect. So my jazz band director would go to lunch with different Howard alum that were in town at
Right.
Lincoln, at the Kennedy Center, or Blues Alley, whatever the case is. And I would go to lunch and just listen and just absorb. And so I graduated and moved to LA. I aimed to go to Juilliard. I didn't get into the last audition, but I just said, home will always be there. I'm not recording enough to be in Nashville. I didn't get into Juilliard, so I won't really be in New York. Let me go to LA. And I'd already made some connections while I was studying. First night in LA, Kim, I said, I'll get the LA Weekly. It's kind of like our Houston Press. I'll get the LA Weekly. I'm going to connect with people. I'm going to jam sessions, all of this, right? I get to Universal City Walk, House of Blues, B.B. King's House of Blues, and there's not a jam session. There's a band playing. It's not many people there. It's a Sunday journal, so I've always kind of stayed connected to this. So I said, well, I'm here. I'm going to be present, make the best of it. Now, when people go to LA, sometimes they're like, be careful. There's a whole, people that are concerned, right? There's a whole community of things that are not necessarily to my greatest benefit.
Right.
So I'm mindful. Okay, so I'm sitting there, and this guy comes up and he says, hey, I know you. So immediately, Cam, I'm like,
Yeah.
this is what they were talking about.
Right. Right.
So
Here we go.
So I sit and I'm like, no, I don't think so. He said, no, you look familiar, And okay, he said, lunch, Fred Irby, Howard University.
Wow.
And I said, yeah, So we're chatting, and I'd gone to lunch one day. He was in town, and he remembered. And he's from Houston. His name is Lan Richards.
Wow.
And I just saw him at Sugar's 4 days ago.
Right.
And we revisited this story from years back. So he says, well, what are your goals? What are you interested in doing? I said, I want to tour. I want to play. I'd love to teach. He said, okay, if you want to play, you just want to get out there. So food comes, and he says, well, go play. Our break is over. Go sit in.
Now he was playing.
He was playing. He came down for a break, ordered food. We're chit-chatting. The food comes. The band, it's time for them to go back up.
Right.
So he says, well, go play. I'm going to eat, if that's okay. I go play. The guitar player is looking back okay.
Who is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From that night, fast forward, guitar player gets my information, calls me maybe that Tuesday, says, hey, I'd love for you to do a gig with me Friday at Alma, some lady, Alma K. I said, okay, sure. I don't know who Alma is, but I'm there.
Yeah.
So I get there. It's not Alma, it's Al McKay, founding member of Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Wow.
It's his wife's birthday party.
Right.
And I'm playing at the house.
Right.
First week, first day, Howard University.
Yeah.
Begin with the end in mind. Cashmere, all of the connection. And from that night, I played with that guitar player for over 2 years from that one night. And it's Phil Upchurch, well recorded, as much as George Benson, guitar player. And I went on to play with Frank McCone and Il Divo and do a bunch of TV, Jay Leno, Indy Iree, just Michael Bearden, all these people. I just kept playing. And one night I was playing, well, actually even before that, the Guitar Center drum competition. The Guitar Center Music Store was host an annual drumming competition. Well, when I graduated from Howard, I had an oil leak. This is just personal life.
Right.
Right? And I didn't know what to do with the oil leak, but think I got it fixed, only for it not to be, and for me
You
to
took
lose
it to the
my
mechanic
car.
and all of this kind of
All
stuff,
of that.
paid them.
They didn't fix it.
Right.
The engine crashed. So when I moved to LA, I didn't have a car. So I would skate to Hertz. I would rent a car. I would do a gig. I would make the money to return the car, pay for the car. And I was doing all these connections.
Right.
Working at a nonprofit, a place called Home, and just making it happen. So I would skate up to the Hollywood Guitar Center, and they had a little booth. And I would
Literally,
practice.
now you would literally skate.
Skate, inline skates.
Inline skates. See, I wanted people to know that. When you're saying
Inline
skate, they're
skates.
thinking of run. No, you're
No.
literally skating.
Skating. I'd take the Velcro, put it over my shoulders, take the bus another route, come back off, put my skates on, backpack, water, out of there.
Out of there.
All throughout LA. Same thing in DC. My friends would say, did I see you going up Gresham,
Skating.
7th Avenue?
Skating.
Skating, yeah. Getting around. So at the Guitar Center, the manager, he says, you know, there's this drum competition. You're always in there practicing. You should compete. I said, I don't know, you know. He said, no, it'd be great. You know, you can win drums, you can win a car. I said, I can win a car?
Car? Right.
I can win a car. Okay, tell me more details. So I sign up. And there are 4 levels. There would be 4 consecutive Tuesdays. Your points have to get you to the next level.
Right.
Preliminary, store finals. You can win the store finals, but your points get you to the regionals.
Right.
So I ended up being the only female to make it to regionals, nationals, and win the whole competition.
And the car.
And a car. And each time I would say, okay, guys, these guys are good, but they can't need a car like I need a car.
Right.
And I felt like it's not about me devaluing.
Right.
These guys are good, but they can't need a car like I need a
Right.
car, you know?
Right.
So that brought national visibility. And then I later became a judge, celebrity judge. I would come in every year and be a part of the other side of it, and went on. And so that visibility and a few other things. I was one night playing with Frank McComb, Raymond McKinley, bass player. He plays with Rochelle Farrell in Tower Power. And so we're playing, and one of my sponsors, Chris Hart, he's a big part of a lot of my endorsements. He's in the audience, and it's just a supper club
Right.
on Wilshire and Crescent Heights. So the bass player leans over, Raymond, and says, you're not going to believe who's here. So, you know, we're just kind of chit-chatting. I said, he said, Prince is here. So Prince was in the audience. He came to hear me play. He and Rochelle Farrell were just hanging that evening to hear me. And so we took our break. His his bodyguard came up, Trevor, and said, you know, Prince is here. He wants to chat with you. So, you know, I'm like, okay, let me
Get myself together.
get myself together
Right.
here.
Prince.
You know?
Prince.
I was like, wow. Okay.
Yeah, Prince.
So I go back and I'm sitting and chatting and we're talking about, I mean, he's really talking, I'm listening.
Because you can't talk.
I'm just like, this is phenomenal. And this
Right.
is in my journal as someone that I would want to meet.
Right.
You know? So I'm in it like, this is exactly what I had in mind, but I didn't see it, how it would unfold.
Right.
But wow, I'm okay. So he's talking about Jill Scott. He's talking about quality equipment, content in music,
Yeah.
and the importance of integrity and stuff like this.
Right.
So I said, wow.
And you just looking at him talk
I'm like-
because this is an out of body experience, right?
And Rochelle Farrell, my dad was a huge Rochelle Farrell fan.
Right,
so
I
I'm
am
just
too, yeah.
Like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So it was time to go back and play. And I said, well, thank you. It's been great chatting with you.
Right.
I'm sure you may leave by the time we're done, but thanks. It's great to meet you. So we go back and play. And his assistant, Ruth Arzate, she comes up after we're done, says, Prince wants me to get your information. He wants to send you the drum set of your dreams, like whatever you want. And I said, okay. So I already had an endorsement. I had endorsements from winning the drum competition. So I called DW Drums and I tell them, and called Takumi, who was one of Prince's right hand and guitar tech, and MacGyver. He's kind of a MacGyver, all things, and let him know what I had in mind. Beautiful gold spider pine, 7-piece drum set, red with gold trim. So it takes about 5 weeks, and when I got it, I was preparing to go to Japan and do a Blue Note tour with that same keyboard player, Frank McComb. So I called Ruth. I said, hey, I got the drums. Just wanted to tell him thank you. So she gives him the phone. We're talking. And he says, well, what are you doing? Just come to the house and let's just jam. I said, well, I'm preparing to go to Japan Tuesday. This is like a weekend.
Yeah.
Friday conversation. And I leave on Monday or something like that. He says, well, come over to the house. Tell them to come. And let's jam. So we jammed. I set the kid up.
Right.
And we had an amazing night. And he said, when you get back, let me know. And I'd love to stay connected.
Wow.
And when I got back, I let him know. And then I'd started doing these Grammy, Emmy, award show after parties. And Tavis would be there. And Spike Lee and Oprah and all these people. Stevie Wonder.
Right.
And we're just jamming in the living room or in the basement or wherever he wanted for like 6 months. And then he said, well, I'd love to be able to do more. And that was it.
5 years.
5 years.
5-year tenure.
Yep.
Lady Beyonce. Then Beyonce. Here we go.
So at that point,
The world knows. When you go with Prince, the world knows who you are.
Yeah. I think he's had 7 drummers.
Yeah.
Total.
Yeah.
Michael Bland, John Blackwell, of course, Sheila E. So, yeah, people know and people knew. And at one point, I got to the point where I was like, I need a break. Some of the energy wasn't, I wanted to just shift out. And we were friends.
Absolutely.
We hung and played basketball and did all, So I just, long conversation. He wasn't very happy about it, but just made transition. And so a friend of mine, a few months later, Kim Burse, called and said,
Kim?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kim.
Me is doing this 4-album tour.
Yeah.
And she'd love for you to be a part of it.
Wow. So she had seen you, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kim asked also
and it's a whole,
about the all-female
woman, a whole female, right?
And she had activated that movement, but I was already playing with Prince and Super Bowl and all of that.
Right.
And so I wasn't available. And it was, it was just a lot going on. And
timing.
So Kim, timing is everything.
Yeah.
Kim said, are you available? So that promo tour then turned into 3 years.
Yeah.
With Beyonce and then Super Bowl with her. And
right.
Just so many amazing things that we did. I became band leader. And all of that still goes back to Kashmir.
Right.
Goes back to Lanier, goes back to chess.
Yeah.
Goes back to French, goes back to community, of just building relationships and not burning bridges,
Right.
It's okay. Sometimes people don't know how to transition out of a space.
Right.
And so they sometimes burn the bridge on the way out. And it's
right.
like, the world is very small and it's filled with relationships and reputations that precede you. And so it was just easy to transition into other spaces. And honestly, I think I did one audition. I've done one audition in my career.
Wow.
Which was for Pink. And it was a promo tour with Pink, but it was kind of decided that I was already going to be playing. So
with her.
Yeah. But aside from that, everything has been
relationships. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that about relationships. Coming out of Houston, most people say that while we're coming out of Houston, because we're not, I guess people think of us as an entertainment, media, type of city,
Certainly.
most of them say you have to leave, right?
Yeah.
To go wherever you're going. I love the fact that you first left to go off to school. Many of us don't.
With my family, it's my dad would say, whatever you want to do, focus on it.
That's it.
And don't move. So we knew we were going to go to Kashmir,
Yes.
and we don't transfer.
Mm-hmm.
You stay there, you stay connected,
Mm-hmm.
you let the counselors know you, let the teachers know you, the
Right.
principal needs to get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're always shifting out of spaces, then you don't get a chance to create an infrastructure from
Right.
which you can build, even when things get tense. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you always move immediately,
Mm-hmm.
then that foundation isn't there. But it is good sometimes to just leave. I mean, even scripture says a prophet has no honor
Right.
in his own town. So sometimes it's getting that honor in other spaces
Mm-hmm.
because people, oh, that's Cam used to live in my neighborhood. Cam,
Right.
and sometimes people in your circle
Mm-hmm.
can kind of take you for granted or not see you as the world
Right.
sees you.
Right.
Lights, camera, action.
Right.
And people see you on a platform and in a space that is empowering, inspiring.
Right.
And so when you're out of your sort of your world, your normal world into other spaces, then you also get to push to be another part of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it is important to leave because it also gives you perspective.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
it lets you know, what are other people doing?
Mm-hmm.
How can I learn from those other people? What can I deposit in that space?
Mm-hmm.
And then however long I'm there, whether it's a day, a month, there's an exchange.
Right.
And the exchange is as even or balanced as it could be. And it's as fruitful as it can be,
The thing I love about you, and we'll talk about the music is creative. The creative side is 10%, right?
Certainly.
But there is a business part, huge business, 90%. I ask all artists as well as yourself about this because we lose out on that part. And we found that out really big time in COVID. Because the end of February, beginning of March, tours were shut down,
Yeah.
Concerts, venues were closed up, restaurants closed down, just anywhere where someone was making their living was completely shut down. Now, a year and a half later, right? We didn't know how long it was going to.
Certainly.
But many didn't have their royalties. They didn't have their credits. They didn't have publishing. They just didn't have it. And let's talk to them about going forward, even new artists. What do you put in place? What things do you need? Because the business side is huge.
The
You can really
business side,
lose out.
You can. And it's another sort of scripture, but in all you're getting, get an understanding.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
there's the skill, there's the packaging of the skill, there's the sharing of that skill, there's multiplying that skill, So you can have whatever it is in music or the arts or even say medicine or you're a writer.
Mm-hmm.
You have your skill set. Okay, how do you package the skill set?
Right.
Okay, what does it look like to package it?
Mm-hmm.
What fonts work? What colors work? How do I register with the state?
Right.
How do I protect the money that I am making? How do I keep myself in the lowest tax bracket? Those are just things that are important as you're rebuilding. And like you said, through the pandemic, there are people that worked in corporate environments and those companies just furloughed and then closed.
Right.
And if you were committed to a company for 15 or 20 years, and then all of a sudden, not only are you not there, but you're a third grade teacher for your kid.
Right.
And you've never been a teacher because you were an executive
Mm-hmm.
or whatever the case may be. It's then again about, okay, where am I? How do I evaluate what I bring to the marketplace?
Mm-hmm.
How can I even create independence in what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe so I'm not so dependent upon whatever the entity is,
Right.
And then on a very small scale, how can you just bring a service or a product to somebody?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's $1, whether it's wristbands, whether it's I can move things for you, whatever that is to get you back. If if someone is absolutely at sort of ground zero,
Absolutely.
which a lot of people are, you say, okay, well, what can I do in the meantime? What can I do in my area? Where's the need? Maybe somebody needs their card cut.
Right.
$35. Let me start there, and then here, and then keep building. And then
Right.
once I get this dollar amount, however incremental, you just keep building. But in the meantime, dream big. You know, I have a book that I wrote called Who Am I?
Yeah.
And in it, there's a
Oh, you have another book, Gathering a Greater Understanding.
yes.
The Ultimate Life Guide for Youth.
Yes.
Why so?
That was actually my first book, Gagoo. And I felt like people needed options. And even though I was exposed to a lot, I was exposed, and that is what gave me choices. If you experience this, then you can say, I don't like that. I do like this. I like a little bit about that. That person was really good at that. I like how he dresses. I like how she speaks. And you just glean from it, and then you kind of choose what it is that you want. So Gagoo was a book about gathering a greater understanding, teaching young people how to, everything from college, military, trade school, or the workforce. Any four of those are honorable. And then this is what you can expect from college, and this is what college will expect from you. This is what you can expect from the military. This is what they expect from you. So if you lay that out for a young person and not say, you're going to college because I told you so.
Right.
If that's not their strength, then they struggle through a space out of honor.
Right.
When if you learn, oh, they're actually more creative, let's teach them in this manner. Let's put music to it. Let's engage them through colors. Let's engage them through kinesthetic touch. Oh, this is how they thrive. then maybe they say, oh, the military is the way because someone is showing me the direction to go. So the book then breaks down like how to write a check, all the parts of your car, and it literally is an ultimate life guide for a young person then to decide a path that resonates best for them. Kevin the Poet, Moo Moo Fresh, Shantae Moore. There's an artist showcase, Rising Star Showcase,
Okay.
and a host of other things, vendors, food trucks. You have
Sounds
access.
good. Absolutely.
You are
absolutely.
invited.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What would you like? Let's look into the camera. What would you like to leave with the viewers?
This is Queen Cora Coleman. It's great to be on the Cam Hill Show. Remember that life is rhythm and rhythm is pattern. So wherever you are in life, wherever you want to be is a series of patterns, series of rhythms. Peace. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. The Cam Hill Show, 12:30, 1:30 Central Standard Time, here with Queen Cora. Talk to you soon. Bye.